and it's one of the only things I can do
Right.
because I'm
Okay.
not good at anything else. Like I hear a lot of people say that, but they can like, mount a TV or they're handy around the house. I'm not good at anything else.
Just the creativity part of it.
Yeah, and even that is very suspect and questionable. So,
All right, what's going on, guys? I am Mark Steele, and this is Shane Cunningham, co-creator of The Desserts, which is a Crave original. You can also find clips on YouTube. And of course, St. Bulges Day, which no bias is one of the greatest shows that I've ever seen. Hilarious program, hilarious show, and so much more that we'll get into now. So Shane, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
no problem. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, of course. So before getting into what you're doing now on the creative side and all the TV production you're doing, tell us about what you were doing before getting into the desserts or writing for TV.
Before this, I was because I've been doing this for quite a while. I've been
Okay.
writing and directing commercials for feels like forever, but I guess it's been about 17 years.
Okay.
So I've been working at Much Music, originally just in their generic commercial department, doing
Hmm.
commercials for channel Much Music, and
Right.
shifted to a brand partnerships department, which means I can pretty much do a commercial for any of the stations. And a
Oh,
brand partnership is just working with another brand, like let's just say Old Spice wants to work with TSN, and then I can write and shoot and direct that commercial, and in some cases even editing that commercial. So,
yeah.
and I'm still doing that right now as we're talking, even though I am
Congratulations.
still working on Bulges the series, which of course we want
Fantastic.
you involved in if you'll still take on that role.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
But in this day and age, you kind of have to be doing everything. Just even if you're doing a TV show, you could still be driving Uber or
Of course.
working on commercials or other side gigs. It seems like you always have to be thinking of your next move in this day and age.
Yeah, staying busy definitely helps and just keeping your options open and just doing everything you love. There's no need to be pigeonholed into one thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you remember that initial inspiration for you to get into entertainment or TV?
I remember when I was 15, I was
Hmm.
fascinated with cameras, and my mom and her boyfriend actually bought me a camera off the Home Shopping Network.
Okay, very cool.
And then I used that camera do man on the street interviews, kind of like what Tom Green was doing back in the day, where I would just,
Right.
try to be a little bit silly and have some fun with some people, maybe a little bit inappropriate for some shock. And
Right.
I decided I was going to film a documentary
Hmm.
today. And then that documentary ended up gaining some traction, and I submitted to film festivals. And then it kind of started my career based off the positive reaction I got off this documentary I made.
Yeah.
I started thinking, okay, I'm not doing that well in school, so this could be very beneficial for me because
Pivot.
video production's an art form where your grades don't really matter. You're kind of just judged on the merit of how good or bad your piece you're making is.
Yeah.
So I liked that idea of not having the pressure of having to succeed in school because I knew that was kind of a fool's errand to pursue at a certain point.
Right. That makes sense. So at that time, did you have a true sense of what makes good or bad production, or were you just kind of off the seat of your pants type of thing?
I think what I really liked about comedy was if people are laughing, you think, oh, that's good, and if they're not, then that's bad. If you're trying to
Right.
make a comedy, and that's what attracted me to it because I think composition and shot selection isn't where my strength lies,
Hmm.
which is documentary lends itself to that too, not being perfect. And a lot
Right.
of you watch your favorite documentary, you'll notice the scene that feels the best or the most compelling is often the scene that's not shot as good, or sometimes it's like the camera might even be on the floor and you hear the audio, and in a way that enhances it because oh, this is real, what I'm
Your,
watching, listening to.
your imagination kind of gets involved.
Yeah, so that was kind of my filmmaking style because I didn't know shot composition and I especially didn't know lighting.
Right.
And when you're independent and doing everything yourself, in a lot of cases, I was the camera person, the on screen talent, and the audio person.
Hmm.
I was hoping the comedy could kind of transcend all the limitations I had in those other aspects that I wasn't good at. And the laughter would be all the validation I needed.
Okay. So as of right now, you'd say that the writing part is your specialty, whereas you have a team for the rest of the composition, the lighting, etc.
Yeah, once you get to a certain point, you really rely on the true artists, which are people who know the composition, which is the director. And there's this guy Mark Myers, who
Yeah.
directed St. Bulges Day, who's unbelievable. Like he's a great artist, and literally he can draw. Like I saw this picture he drew of Mother Teresa, and it was perfect. It actually looked like a photograph of Mother Teresa. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, it's more than just writing. I think it's working with a team. That's my favorite thing to do. I'm very codependent.
Mm.
Don't think I've ever done anything on my own or sat in front of a computer and been like, I'm going to write a script today. It's always,
Yeah.
let's get together, have a drink, or, you know, I'm a big pacer. So I'll
Right.
walk around the room while maybe someone else is at the keyboard. And that seems to bring a lot of ideas to me. Staring at
Mhm.
a blank page doesn't, but if somebody can get the ball rolling, I could talk all night about an idea. And again, I'm always looking to make the person I'm working with laugh, and then
Yeah.
I'm real world feedback into what's working. And I find that really helps the writing. So I need to find the other puzzle piece, which is usually a person who likes sitting at the keyboard and typing and
Right.
who's probably did a little bit better in school than me too, because that's usually
Yeah.
the type of person it takes. And I find that is a good working relationship. And in like with SNL and other people who write for comedy shows, you'll find half the people went to Harvard and half the people didn't graduate high school. And there's something about that mix that seems to work. And I'm definitely the person that did not graduate high school.
Right. It's interesting that you mentioned the writing because I was going to ask. I grew up on shows like Mad TV. I didn't watch SNL so much. I was
Yeah.
more the Mad TV guy. And you have social media where, typically you have 60 seconds or 30 seconds or Vine with 6 seconds to make someone laugh or to grab their attention. And with the desserts, you have your sketches for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, however long they are. How do you find that hook to get people laughing and engaged and staying for the next sketch or watching the same sketches over and over again?
Well, sometimes, and with the dessert, the sketch show we did, the sometimes the hook is the easiest thing to come up with. It's how do you end this? So
Uh,
usually that's the first thing. Like I work with my wife in social media.
yeah,
I'm a big like, oh, what if this happened? And then I'm kind of like, gotta go, and I forget that we have to figure out the ending. So
right.
because that's kind of something that I naturally gravitate towards, which is a very short premise and
Mhm.
the hook. So I'm hoping like, oh, I hope they like the hook because there's not much else to end this.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's just I don't know. I guess some people are really hooks come naturally to some people it doesn't. Some people's story structure comes naturally. Some people
Mhm.
are great at endings and punchlines. And again, it all comes back to having the team where all these things can kind of connect. And we were very a communal writers room.
Right. Okay.
And I can't tell you how much we went over the sketches, probably too much because we were so excited and we really wanted it to work and we were
Yeah.
pinching ourselves every day. So we would have Zoom meetings on Zoom meetings just to make it better.
Okay. So with all those Zoom meetings and all the work and, pouring over things too much, what is the rest of that process to flesh out a show like The Desserts and to get that picked up by a network and see the success you had?
I'm a big like my whole philosophy is like I like to plan twice and cut once.
Yeah.
So some people, and this is a quite normal approach, I think, when you're about to pitch to a network, you just come up with a pitch or an idea and
Hmm.
try to have a meeting. And a lot of pitches usually fail, but you do a large number of them, and hopefully you one hit, so you hit the bullseye.
Yeah.
For me, my philosophy, and I don't know if it's a smart philosophy, but it has worked for me, is to not only come up with the idea and think of what the pitch would be, I also like to shoot a prototype of how it looks. Because sometimes, you
Okay.
know, I'm not the best at articulating my ideas either. So
Right.
if you show it to somebody and then they can say, oh, this either worked or it didn't, it really helps me knowing when I did get rejected, I didn't get rejected because of my inability to pitch. I got rejected because they actually didn't like the idea and not my failings as a pitchman.
Right. Okay.
With the dessert, we shot a full 12-minute pilot, and we got even our buddy Max. We're lucky enough to be friends with Max from Arkells. He
Yeah.
did he did the theme song. I talked to this guy who's an amazing visual artist. What's his name? I believe his name is John Smith. I might have to message you. I don't know why it's not coming.
No worries.
But this
Very generic name.
this guy's incredible, and he actually did the visuals for Taylor Swift and her tour. So in this one, we got him
Experience.
before he did that, so it was
Yeah.
good. And we got a cinematographer to do it in good faith, knowing that if the show got picked up, we would hire him. And it turned out pretty impressive.
Yeah.
To say so myself. And then we, rather than pitch Crave, we just said, "What do you think of this?" And we showed them this fully fleshed out prototype, which looked just as good as the show itself. In fact, we used that prototype in the show.
Right.
And people would be hard pressed to guess which were the piloted sketches and which were the ones we shot after we had a bit of a budget.
Interesting. Okay. So is that a show that you would go back to and continue, several seasons, or do you just want to continue spinning things off from there?
You know what? I would have said a couple of years ago, yes, I would love to do 10 seasons of The Dessert. And don't get me wrong, I still would love a season two.
Yeah.
But once we did the show that you were involved with called St. Bulges Day, which is a spin
Mhm.
off a dessert sketch, this was
Right.
kind of fleshed out half-hour St. Patrick's Day special. I just realized how much I love traditional story arcs and building out characters and keeping the story going, because
Right.
the downfall of sketches, sometimes you fall in love with a premise or an idea and then it's done. And then you
Mhm.
go back to it. But when you can build out a whole world, I've realized that's what I really love. And that's why I'm, banking on doing see many seasons of Bulges. And that's the hope.
Okay, very cool. So with Bulges, I remember when I first got the opportunity to audition for it, I was grateful because it seemed like such a unique show and I like comedy. So how did you choose Bulges to take from the desserts and make it into a series?
Well, another benefit of doing a sketch show is you kind of have 15 mini, or sorry, 52 sketches is what we shot with the dessert.
Right.
And we had 52 mini pilots. So the audience would kind of tell us which sketch or sketches they liked the best. And
Hmm.
one had a list of 5 to 10 sketches that they said, okay, these are a little bit better. And, the rest I can take or leave. But one thing we noticed was the Bulges sketch was
Right.
on these lists. And then my father-in-law, who was a Bulges fan, and he's a very excitable man, a very positive man too, he
Yep.
said that could be a show. And I kind of dismissed
Uh,
him at first and laughed it off because he is
right.
so comically optimistic. But I gave it some thought, and then I said, yeah, he's right. This could be a show. And then I called another creator of the dessert, John Popoulos, and ran it by him. And then we talked to Mike. And then before we knew it, we're like, let's pitch this to Crave. And then luckily, since we had it as a sketch, we
Yep.
didn't have to do a test. We showed them and said, what do you think? Originally, it was going to be a Christmas special.
Yep.
And then we ran out of time to make Christmas, but we had just enough time to make St. Patrick's Day,
Right.
which for a bar, I would think St. Patrick's Day is kind of like their Christmas because it's such a drinking holiday. So the same
Perfect.
themes worked. And before we knew it, we were on set and I was wearing a little crop top and we
The
turned
short shorts.
around fast. Yes, exactly.
So for anyone who hasn't seen Bulges yet, can you give us a summary or premise of the show?
So St. Paul's Day is apparently, not apparently, St. Paul's Day is
Yeah.
basic a male Hooters.
Right.
Like now, we just found out Hooters is going bankrupt, right? So Bulges has
Okay.
same issue. They're about to go under, and they're always trying to think of new and innovative ways to save them. And
Hmm.
Niagara Falls, where I think a place like Bulges could actually exist in Niagara Falls today,
Yeah.
and it's a bit of an institution. But unfortunately, the owner of Bulges died, and his daughter's taking over the family business. And it's not necessarily a perfect fit for her in the beginning,
Right.
but she starts to realize how important this business is and to keep the legacy that her father created afloat. So that's it.
That's very cool. Definitely check it out. If you don't have a subscription to Crave, it's on YouTube as well. It's a very sexy show and it's very funny as well. So definitely check it out. I was happy to be part of it and very grateful for the
You are
opportunity.
hilarious in it. I talk about this all the time. You're like my favorite character. There's a scene
I
where
appreciate it.
there's a basketball scene where you're waving a condom in face and talking about to get jiggy that night. I reference it all the time, and we always talk about how we need to get Mark Steele back when we shoot this, and like
Oh,
have your character fleshed out. And like, yes, we're very lucky to have you on that show.
I definitely appreciate that. Thank you. Now, going from there into social media. So your wife, Alex or Alexandra,
Yeah.
is a big social media person. I know you're involved with the page as well. How much does the social media content creation come from your creativity, your comedy background, and her influence as well?
Well, one day we were having breakfast, and she said, "I would love to be a content creator." And she's like her dad; she inherited a lot of positivity. And
Yeah.
I, let's do it. And then instantly she realized how hard it was. And people they like to not give content creators enough credit, I think, because it is so
Mm.
much work, so much ideation and practical work.
Yeah.
And originally it was me being kind of the motivator. And I hooked her up with Jillian Smart, who was in the dessert as a writing help, because
Mm.
Jillian really is such a brilliant person, and she's particularly brilliant at social media, amongst other things. But anyway, I'd say originally it was Jillian and myself kind of being the main creative force. And right now it's probably more Jillian, and Alex has really found her creative stride, and she knows what her audience wants to see. And
Right.
some bring up an idea and I'll go, huh, Alex, like trust my instincts on this. That's not going to work. And she will go forward and do it anyway. And it
Right.
will 15 million views, and I will look like a damn fool. So I've kind of learned to listen to Alex when she's really passionate about an idea, because she knows that audience so well now.
Yeah. That's really good. Okay. Um, this question came to me randomly as you were explaining that. I thought to myself, if TV shut down, all the TV networks were closed for whatever reason, could you create a series specifically for social media? A vertical series, a minute per episode or 2-minute clips, whatever the maximum length is now on Instagram or TikTok.
I would like to think so. I'd need to think exactly what the hook would be on that, but
Mhm.
my whole plan is, and in this industry, nothing is stable. So
Right.
I could be laid off literally tomorrow. Like I'm at Bell Media right now, and there's layoff talks.
Yep.
I think, okay, at least my wife has this account, and we could just blow it up, and I would just be dedicated to it. And I think I
Yeah.
dedicated my life to trying to make that account work. And although it's a lot of hard work, it is something that's fun, and it's one of the only things I can do,
Right.
because I'm
Okay.
not good at anything else. Like I hear a lot of people say that, but they can, like, mount a TV or they're handy around the house. I'm not good at anything else.
Just the creativity part of it.
Yeah, and even that is very suspect and questionable. So
Right. So I would have asked you, what is your big motivation or your reason for pushing comedy or writing or directing, whatever it is?
I think, again, sometimes you hear people and they're like, I have no plan B, and that keeps me motivated. And it
Yeah.
really does. Like, I did not do well in school. I
Mm.
finished post-secondary. I'm so motivated. I'm so competitive and motivated to succeed in this field
Yeah.
that it's just self-preservation and survival. And
That's
once
fair.
family too, because I have two daughters, that's all the motivation you need. That can make a lazy man very, unlazy.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So for anyone else who has a history like yours, maybe they didn't do well in school or they did well, but they just don't know where they want to take their lives or careers in the future. If they said, I want to be a writer or I want to create a TV show, what is that process for them to get started in the industry or to see success in the industry?
I think the best thing to do is find people that you gravitate towards just naturally. For me, it was Lonely Island, Andy Samberg, and the team that he
Long
cultivated
Island.
with
Of course.
Eva and Yorma. Just
Yep.
love the idea of having three people and each one being especially good at something.
Yeah.
Uh, so find whoever it is that you're like, I would like to be like them. Find out what
Mhm.
their process was. And in this day and age, there's so many podcasts and
Yep.
things like what you're creating right now, which is a great resource for people to kind of learn the secrets from people and how they became successful.
Hmm.
And um, I think follow their blueprint that they did. For me, I really looked up to my friend Mike Veerman growing up
Okay.
because he won a contest to get into much music, which is where I'm working right now. So I
Ah.
started entering contests. And
Mhm.
it sounds silly because it seems like the likelihood of winning a contest is low. But
Yep.
if you're very hungry, you can stand out. And I ended up winning an MTV contest, which was a reality show essentially. And from that contest, I got hired at Bell Media.
Everything just kind of spring rolled from there.
But I literally copied the blueprint that Mike Veerman made, who plays Gary in St. Bulges Day.
Yeah, of course.
And when I talked about Lonely Island, he's one of the people in the little Lonely Island that we created with John Poplis, myself, and Mike Veerman, and we call that platonic friends.
That's very cool. So a good team around you is a good thing. People with a similar vision and a similar sense of direction as well.
Yes.
I like that. Okay. Last few questions for you. What is your favorite movie or TV series?
My favorite movie is Rushmore. And that's because
Okay.
it's about an ambitious guy. He wants to be in the arts. He's kind of failing out of school. He's on the verge of expulsion, but he's so like endearingly motivated to bring people together and do so many activities
Yeah.
uh, that he is successful in a lot of his pursuits. And for me, that was what I needed to see when I was young. And yeah, it's a Wes Anderson movie, and it was right before he got a little too quirky, in my opinion. It was at that sweet spot of
Right.
right things kind of went a little overboard, in my opinion. But Rushmore, by far, a movie I've seen the most in my life. I used to watch it every night before I went to bed.
Interesting. So you took a lot of inspirations from there as well.
Absolutely. I almost looked at it like this is a documentary, and this is how I can be. I can still be successful, but just be super ambitious if I work hard.
Right. Okay, I'll check that one out. Next question. Walk us through a mental picture of your dream home anywhere in the world.
This sounds weird, but I think I dream home now because I got married in the backyard of the home I'm currently living in
Wow. Okay.
because my in-laws owned this home that overlooks the escarpment.
Right.
I remember the first time I went in it, I was like, this is my ideal home. I love that view of Hamilton.
Yep.
Kind of feels like it's in like the Hamilton version of like the Hollywood Hills, and you have this perfect view. And there's only so many homes that can overlook the escarpment in
Right.
Hamilton. And I feel like I'm in that Talking Head song where it's like you wake up and you have this beautiful wife and this life and this home, and you're asking yourself how you got there. I'm
Int-
doing that right now because
Yeah.
I can't figure out how I'm in that home. I honestly, I'm not being facetious. I have no idea how I'm in this home right now. So I
Right.
am in my dream home, and I say that totally feeling like I'm undeserved and like a fraud living in this house.
It comes from the hard work, of course, and just
And a lot of
getting
luck,
what you
a
deserve,
lot of
which is a
luck,
lot.
both
Luck is
good luck
important as
and
well.
luck contributed to me getting this home.
Yeah, that's really good. Luck is, it's not often talked about. Success comes from hard work and the dedication and perseverance, but it does sometimes take luck and just meeting the right person at the right time or catching them in a good mood versus, if they had a rough night before, that kind of thing. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I have to acknowledge that when I say bad luck, my mom did pass away, and she did. My mom helped me with get this home.
Okay.
So sometimes it takes bad luck to create good luck too.
Okay. Sorry to hear for your loss and
Uh,
positive thoughts for her. And last question, how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your process, about just the industry in general?
for me, it would be Instagram, and my Instagram has gone through many machinations, but it's currently Shane Daddy Boy Yeah, Shane Daddy Boy. That's my Instagram.
Okay, I'll
And
put that in
boys,
the comments.
I just because I'm being a little funny there.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll put that in the description of this video. And that's it. That's all the questions I have. Shane, I definitely appreciate your time. It's been good talking to you again. And I'm sure we're going to talk again soon.
Absolutely. I can't wait to be on set working to get alongside you. That's
Looking
something.
forward to it. I appreciate it. Any last words?
Just thank you.
Okay. I appreciate it, Shane. Thank you for your time again.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.